Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's American Community Media California News Briefing in partnership with the California Secretary of State's office. I'm Pilar Marrero, your moderator for today. Just a note before we start, the Capitol Morning Report noted that this briefing is about Prop 50. This is not a briefing about Prop 50. This is a briefing about the November 4th statewide special election, and that's what the Secretary of State is going to talk about, okay? With the November 4th statewide special election approaching, the goal is to make sure California's diverse communities have trusted, practical information from returning vote by mail ballots early to Where's My Ballot to same-day registration. Also amplifying facts our audiences can use. Today's media briefing focus is simple: how to vote safely, securely, and on time in the November 4th election. We'll cover ballot security, registration updates, in-person and vote-by-mail options, Voters' Choice Act flexibility, and Where's My Ballot tracking. Our speaker today brings years of expertise to this topic. It's an honor to welcome her. She's the California Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber. And we ask our speaker to speak slowly for our interpreters and urge reporters to ask questions on the chat. Secretary Weber, please go ahead.
Well, Pilar, thank you. And it's good to see so many of you. I haven't seen you guys in probably a couple of years since my office was involved with all the ethnic media. The last special election that we had was the recall, and we got a chance to see so many of you and the tremendous amount of work that you did to make that turnout a successful reality. And so we hope that will happen again in this election, because we know that you are a central piece of what we call the trusted messengers of these communities, and that you will share that information because you understand just how precious this experience is of voting in the communities that you represent. So it's good to be with you. Unfortunately, as I pointed out early, someone put the wrong information down. We're not here to talk about Prop 50. We're here to talk about the voting process, what is happening, where we are in terms of voting, and give you the information that you need to basically spread to your communities about what we're doing in terms of making our voting more accessible and more transparent. So it's great to see some of you who we worked with so many times before in this particular briefing. Anytime there's an election, it's always a special experience in our communities. As I pointed out to folks, but my ancestors have been in this country for over 200 years from the research that we've done, and yet I'm a second generation voter. And what that meant is that for all of those years, my parents never got a chance to vote, because not that they didn't have the right to vote, but because the issue and limitations of registration, the difficulty and the challenges of being able to register did not happen for them until they came to California in the 50s. And basically, my father, it was in his 30s when he got a chance to register to vote and to participate in the process. So we recognize in our family and in so many other families just how precious this experience is. Having your voice, having the ability to vote, having it accessible, making it available to so many is really, really important. And that's what we've been trying to do here in California with every election, to make it accessible to California with its very diverse population, to be able to do that, to be able to vote comfortably, and to be able to vote in a timely manner that really counts your ballot, makes sure your voice is heard, and gives us a voice to be able to influence California politics as well as the national politics that is there. In looking at the material I looked at yesterday when I had a live press conference with the AG, there were 2 million folks who'd already had their ballots counted. Last night it was 2.5. So we're increasing every day, and it's good to see that so many folks are taking advantage of it, and the vast majority are taking advantage of the vote by mail ballots that are there. We know that yesterday was the last day to register to vote. The last day, the 20th of October, was the last day to register to vote for this coming election. But keep in mind, that's only the fact that it was the opportunity to register to vote, so you could have a ballot sent to your home and vote in that sense. However, California's laws allow us to vote on the same day for the same day registration. So if you have someone and they say, oh my goodness, I missed the deadline, let them know that California, you can still register and vote in California on the same day of the election. So they can go to the polls. It will take them a little bit longer. They'll have to fill out the forms. They will become what we call provisional voters. They'll get a provisional ballot. It won't be counted initially until we have had an opportunity to get the ballot, to look at the documentation of the registration, making sure that all the things that are necessary to qualify them as a voter in California is correct. And once that is done, then their ballot is counted after the other ballots are counted. But it will be added to the count. And so it will influence the election. So you will still get a chance to vote if for some reason you missed yesterday. Be prepared to go to the polls on November 4th and register in person and be a provisional voter and have a provisional ballot that will be counted once all of the necessary things are verified and it's documented that you are eligible to be a registered voter, but also the fact that you have not already registered, you've not already voted, so you can't vote twice. So we are excited about that, and we want to make sure everyone knows that they have not missed it. They've only missed a part of it, but the vote is still eligible to them. That's there. We are, as I said, we've had 2.5 million Californians all having their ballot already counted. We are not sure exactly what will be the last count, but clearly lots of ballots are coming in because this is, I always say, this is an easy election because it's like election with one thing. It's a yes or no answer. And so as a result, most folks are able to do that rather quickly, turn it into the various ways in which we have. Keep in mind, we always say that we have more days and more ways in California. That's our theme, more days and more ways. We have 11 days to vote in California. We have more ways to vote in California, where some states only have the polling place and that's it, unless you apply for a vote by mail ballot or an emergency ballot, as they call it. Some of them do. We give you the opportunity because everyone gets a ballot in the mail. And if you're registered, you get a ballot in the mail. You will then have the opportunity to actually vote privately if you choose to basically turn that ballot into the ballot boxes that we have throughout the city. And if you look at our website, you will have places that you can find your ballot box. They're these monstrosities. They're like an iron, they're like a tank screwed in the ground. I mean, they're thick, they're steel, and you can't get it out unless you have a key to get those ballots out. So therefore, folks are able to put their ballot into those boxes that are secured. They will be picked up. So you can vote in the ballot box. Those are important, and they will be taken up into the day of the election. They will be validated. The other way that you can do it, obviously, is by mail, to put it in the mail. We're telling folks that because there is a map to look at, the Postal Service has decided that it's new policy that if there are folks who live in an area that has limited services, their ballot may not be counted on the day of the election if they put it in the ballot box on the day of the election, if they're at a postal service and they put it the day of the election. We want people to understand that if you vote on that day, it may not be counted in certain counties, in certain areas. So we want to make sure that you do it early. So we're saying to folks, let's get this vote done early. Because you want to make sure that if you're going to use the Postal Service, that you do that. If for some reason that you still want to go to the post office and it's the day of the election, make sure you go inside the post office and have your ballot stamped. You have the envelope stamped so that it is then able to be counted. We don't want anyone to just toss it into in the mailbox as we have been able to do in the past. And have it counted. The Postal Service has said that they may not be counted in certain areas. So we're saying not only some areas, but every area. Make sure that you, if you're voting the day of the election in the Postal Service, that you go inside the post office and you get it stamped. Otherwise, put it into our ballot box because it will be counted. Or go into a polling place and hand it to them. It will be counted. Put it in the polling place. All of those things are ways in which you can get the ballot done. You can still obviously go into the polling place itself. And even with your ballot in your hand, you can actually still vote in person and sign that you can hand them the ballot, but you will basically be able to vote in person. Some people love the experience of voting and the history of voting, and they like to take their children into it. That's great. It gives them great images. Just don't wait too long. Just don't forget. Make sure you go because things happen on the day of the election. But keep in mind, you can walk into those polling places any of those 11 days in a polling site. and you can actually vote in person. So we offer these multiple ways that people can vote that's accessible to you. If there's any concern about voting or issues, make sure that you call our hotline with 1-800-345-VOTE. Hotline is open all the time, 345-VOTE, 800-345-VOTE. We have all the information. Our folks are very patient. They will give you what you need. If you have any concerns, they won't just say, look at our website. They'll tell you what the website says, because we know that oftentimes people call us because, they're not into the websites. They're not into doing those things. And it makes it easier to just ask you the question. So our folks are trained to be polite, to be patient, and to answer those questions that you have. Because if we wanted them all to go to the website, then we'd fire all of our people at the helpline. So they're there because they're there to provide help, and I want to make sure people understand that. We have California is unique in a sense because of the fact that we have the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that guides us, but we know that there's challenges at the federal level with regards to the Voting Rights Act. And as a result, California has its own voting rights, the Bill of Rights for Vote in California, and that's listed in our website. But I wanted to let you know that there are some things that we have that we hold very dear. One, the right to get a new ballot. If you have made a mistake on your ballot, something happened to the ballot, you marked the wrong, you meant to say yes and you said no, or no and said yes, you can get a new ballot. Don't try to scratch it out and change it. Don't save us paper. Basically, ask us for a new ballot. We will give you another ballot. We will make sure we avoid that ballot that's there. We will give you another ballot. You have a right to have another ballot. You're not limited. The right to get help casting your ballot is also a right that you have. Don't believe folks when they say nobody can help you. They can. Who cannot help you by law is your employer or your union rep. We want to make sure that the decision you make to vote is not influenced by where you work and those kinds of things, because often those things can be very intimidating, and people can try to collect ballots at their employment site and do things to make sure that you vote the way they want you to vote. So by law, you can let them know that as an employer, they cannot influence you, and neither can a union rep. So they cannot help you with your ballot, but anyone else who works with you, your family, your friends, your children, if they can help you with the ballot, you're able to do so. You have the right to drop off your completed vote by mail ballot at any polling place in California, and that's important to understand. I know folks used to have to rush home to get to their polling site because that had your data and your record. Right now, you can drop off that ballot at any polling place in California. Our database is statewide, and so as a result, you have the identification. You can actually vote anywhere in California. So make sure that you recognize the fact that you can do your vote by mail ballot anywhere in California. If you have a place near your residence or where you work or whatever, feel free to use that as well. You can generally get election material in almost any language that has been certified. There are 9 different languages in addition to English that our ballots are printed in, and they're certified so that you can, if you want to request it, you can request a ballot in your language, your natural language. The challenge we face, just generally speaking, 9 is a lot of ballot languages that we use. Every now and then there's a language that's not familiar, and we're constantly working to expand that base of the number of languages that we can use. You usually have to have some quantity of folks who use that language in order for us to actually start printing ballots in that language, because ballots are extremely complex, as some of you know, and you can be on the same block with somebody or around the corner and your ballot is totally different. It may have the same statewide people on it, but your city council, your water district, your school board, all those things, the board of supervisors can all be different in the same community that you live. So printing ballots is very complex and difficult. And so we have to make sure that we have a quantity of individuals who speak that language in order for us to permanently print that language. Our traditional language, many of them are there, but we're expanding every day to make sure and finding new ways that we can have different ways in which people can access their language comfortably and without a lot of difficulty. But that's difficult because anyone who's done any translation of languages know that it's very complicated, and it's it's very difficult, and you can't just pick up something from Google and do it, because there's so many variations of that language itself that it makes it it complicated, and it changes the meaning of words and all kinds of things that happen. So we work hard with the various communities, with our LAC community, which is our Language Access Committee, that to try to get through the languages that we need. So you have a right to have in any language in English that other than English that really meets your needs. You have a right to ask questions of elected officials about election procedures and to watch the election. So if you have time and you think there's a concern that you have the right to go to your polling place, to your registrar of voter, and ask to watch the elections, the ballots that are counted. You can see them. Almost all of our registrar of voters have windowed areas in which where the ballots are brought in, they're counted. You can see them looking at the language act, the signatures and those kinds of things. You cannot be in a position where you can read those signatures. You cannot touch those ballots, and you surely cannot count those ballots. So you don't have the free reign, as some people think they're going to go in and stand right over the person who's looking at the ballot and read everybody's name. Those kinds of things don't happen. And when that happens, people get mad because we're not letting them handle the ballots. We cannot do that. I'm sure you wouldn't want everyone handling your ballot. And so therefore we have a secured environment that's there. So you have the right to ask questions and you have a right to watch. You have a right to also report any illegal or fraudulent election activity to an election official or the Secretary of State's office. We have very strict laws in California about elections. Our Attorney General is our partner in enforcing the laws. And as a result, any activity that occurs that are fraudulent, you have the right to report it to us. We have a team of people who will be working with us before and after and during the election. A number of attorneys who volunteered that have worked on elections before. We've gotten information to all of our police officers that are there. We've shared information with regards to many of the federal agents that might be there. They have a right to do certain things, but we have information for them to understand California's laws and what needs to happen in election places, and that affects everybody. So we make sure that no one is intimidated, no one is blocked from voting in California, and so we are working hard with all of those. Our AG, our Attorney General, is our partner in this, and his office is the one who enforces the laws and that are there. So we have those that are there that are to help out. So those are the things that we have. We often get misinformation regularly from with regards to people having views about things that happen and what took place. The most recent one is the misinformation about the little holes in the envelope. People are still talking about that. We've issued a press release on my website. We included in all of our conversations that we've had. Those little holes in your envelopes are not so people can peep through and see how you voted. Those holes are there because they guide those who are visually impaired to be able to know where to sign on those envelopes, the signatures in between those holes. We also have some holes in other counties because all counties print their own ballots, and some of their communities, people could say that they have difficulty opening the envelope. They don't want to tear it up, all those kinds of things. And so they have other holes that will guide them to where you can open the envelope comfortably without having anything that destroys or harms the ballot. I don't know where people come up with all these unique ideas of thinking about these ballots, but the bottom line is that most of the time that all of those holes are designed oftentimes by our disabled community about how they can handle the ballot better, how they can comfortably use the ballot, how they can find the places to sign because they have difficulty with it. And they work with our community to make sure it's secure. I tell folks, I tried the other day when I put in my ballot to see if I could look through it and see, and I could not. And so it's not likely that folks are going to be counting 23 million ballots by looking through holes and to see exactly who wins and loses. But nonetheless, if people have those difficulties, you're welcome to call our office and we'll get you another ballot if there's some problem with yours or those kinds of things that are there. We are constantly confronted with all kinds of questions and concerns about the election, and that's fine. We want folks to feel secure in voting, making sure that they're protected, that they have access to their ballot. We recently had about 80 or 90 ballots that were part of a process, part of a theft that occurred in Sacramento, where someone stole mail. and then threw it into a homeless area. We got the ballots. We were informed we got the ballots. Those ballots had not been used, so they have been destroyed, and new ballots have been issued to those persons. So that's why we tell folks, if you haven't gotten your ballot, if your folks are sitting at home now and they have not received their ballot in the mail, they should contact our office, because it should have received it by at least October the 6th. All ballots should have been in people's hands by October the 6th. And if you have not got it, then do that right away. As I said, there's so many new challenges. We want to make sure that as a result, people get their ballots, they make their decision, and they put their ballots in the mail or in our vote box, or however method they want to use it. That makes it easier for us, and obviously it makes it more comfortable for them. If you ask yourself, where's my ballot? You can always go on our website. There's a place that you can register. And interestingly enough, in probably a day, you will get the information once you've put your ballot in. I'm always shocked when mine comes through, and even though I know it's supposed to come through, but when I get that little note saying Shirley Weber, Secretary of State, said so and so has received your ballot, I go, wow. And then I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, that's me. I'm supposed to get that. But I'm excited that it went in, and then I'm excited when it come back, Shirley Weber says your ballot's been counted. I'm jumped on my phone because it comes on my watch, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's right. We've done this. My stuff is in. And everybody who I talk to tells me the same thing. When I get that notice, I know I'm going to get the notice. But when I get it, it just shocks me. It makes me happy. So make sure that if you want to know that your ballot has been turned in and that it's been counted, we track it for you and we let you know, congratulations, you have voted. So those are the things that are really, really important. I'm sure there are other questions that some of you may have. And I'll turn it back over to you, Pilar. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Secretary Weber. There's lots of questions in the chat. I'm going to start with my colleague, Sunita Sorachi. Sunita, ask your question, please.
Thank you, Pilar. Oh, thank you, Pilar. Dr. Weber, if you have moved but still have access to your ballot, can you still vote on it even though that's not your current address?
Yes,
for example, my daughter has her ballot here, but she's in Los Angeles now.
You can still use your ballot. You will only have the information that's related to where you are in terms of your residence. So you can't go in and say, but I'm really from LA, can I vote on some of that stuff? No. If she decides, because oftentimes we have kids who go off to school. Right. And they're at an education program or then something else. Many of us have had kids like that, and we get, even before we did the vote by mail for everyone, our kids would get absentee ballots, and you send it to them, and they would send it back and mail it back to the source from which they should. So yes, you can still use it, but you're only going to be limited to what you have right there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sunita. We have a question by Araceli Martinez from La Opinión. Araceli, can you ask your question?
Hello, Pilar.
Hello. Yes, go ahead.
Gracias. Secretary, what will be your message for our Latino and minority voters in order to encourage them to turn out on November 14? Typically, this type of special elections don't attract as many voters as general elections. And besides, do you have an estimate of how many voters are expected to turn out? Thank you.
Thank you. My message to voters in special elections is the same that I give in every election. Every election has consequences. It's not some elections that are more important than others. And oftentimes, even folks fail to do it on special elections because they don't think that relates to them, but it generally does. A statewide election affects everybody. And it affects our budget, it affects the policies that we do, it affects our actions, it affects everything that we are about. So don't ever dismiss about an election. Folks count on us dismissing elections, and as a result, oftentimes we'll put elections on special situations so we don't vote. So we don't go to the polls. So we don't show up at the primaries. Why? Because they don't want us to participate. I believe we should vote in every election. I have voted in every election. My mother was a poll worker, but also our house was a polling place in Los Angeles. And I grew up seeing people vote, and I saw every election, the little elections, the big election, the mayors, the primaries, you name it, because that is the only way you have a voice. So there's no point in silencing yourself on certain times of the year. Express yourself in every election. So it's extremely important that people are making decisions about your life. And it's not like this only affects the people on the other side of the block. This is everyone's election. So I tell people, don't give up your power, don't give up your voice, make yourself heard. And that's what makes you a powerful community. It makes people take you seriously. I've been on the boards before, school boards, where people didn't take my community seriously. Why? Because they didn't show up in every election. You have to show up in every election in order to have a voice and to influence your life and the life of your children. So it is extremely important that those who are in ethnic communities, very important for those who have limited resources, because you may not have the money, but you have the power of the president, the governor. They only get one vote. There is no discounted vote. And so make sure that you have your voice heard just like everyone else, whether you have a little money, a whole bunch of money. They can't buy your vote, and you hold it, you own it, and it's you. So I tell people all the time, don't give up your power, don't give up your voice, make sure you're heard.
Okay, Henrietta Burroughs, can you please identify your media organization and ask your question?
Yes, thank you, Pilar. Henrietta Burroughs, the East Palo Alto newspaper, East Palo Alto Today. Secretary Weber, the Trump administration has previously challenged ballots that were received in ballot boxes and counted after the election, even ballots that were mailed in. So is your office prepared to have these challenges made in this election?
Yes, we have been working we work with our Attorney General. And as I pointed out, even the information we had about our postal service, we started meeting with the post office weeks and months before an election begins, and we meet with them every weekend. That's how we find out what the latest things are, what's new, what's there. We've always been challenged, so we're always prepared. I can't even begin to tell you the number of lawsuits that have my name on it. Some guy told me the other day that I'm probably the most popular woman in California because there are hundreds and hundreds of lawsuits with my name on it. This was an attorney general who told me that from another county. And so we are forever fighting this battle to protect your right to vote, to protect your voice, to protect your election. We anticipate that there'll always be someone who says to us all the time that this is fraudulent. The president says vote by mail is fraudulent, despite the fact that he voted by mail his entire life and does now, I believe. So he thought it was a good idea when none of us were doing it. And now, obviously, it's corrupt, it's this, it's that. We hear this all the time. It's not that we become immune to it because we try to listen to see if there's some validity to some of it. But the bottom line is we are prepared always to make sure that your vote is counted, that it's safe and secure, that we will count those ballots and we will count them to the very last one. People want to say, stop it at this point, don't count anymore, something's wrong. California has a very secured and time-consuming process. People tell me count faster, but we want you to count everybody and do this and do that. And yet we want ballots by mail, and that's why we encourage people to put them in early. But counting by ballots by mail is a very tedious process. It's totally different when you just walked in the polling place, signed your name, and got a ballot and went and voted. There was no other process to validate you from that point forward. That's not true right now. We have vote by mail, and we have to validate all of your signatures. We want to make sure that you're the person you say you are, that you're not abusing the system, all those kinds of things we have to do. We have to count every ballot, look at every signature, make sure that's correct. And if it's not, and if we have any questions, we put that ballot aside and we go back and count it again. So we understand our system, and we're not going to allow someone who wants to manipulate our system to force us to rush to impress them, only to then say, oh, you guys missed 3 ballots over here, so this is corrupt. No, we're not going to, I don't listen to that stuff. Most people know I'm pretty adamant about what I do, and I'm not going to allow that to destroy our system and to destroy us and do things that are incorrect. we're going to count every ballot. Everybody tells me, I want every ballot counted, and we're going to count every ballot. It takes time. We have people who fail to sign their ballot. We then have to go back and find those people. And when we can, we find them and have them come in and sign their ballot. So it's we're going to hear that. And but I've always believed that when people who lie a lot, I don't put a lot of credibility into what they tell me. I listen, but most of the time I know they're not telling the truth. So I'm not going to reorganize my whole life for somebody who lies all the time. And we know that's the challenge that we face with this administration. So we're gonna make sure it's a safe, secure election. We're gonna make sure we focus on what we have to focus on, but we're not going to throw everything out the window because somebody thinks that they said that. Since I've been in office, they've been talking about 2 million voters that are voting that are illegal, and I've always asked them to give me the name of at least one. I'm still waiting. So we're gonna work this system. We're gonna make it sure it is we investigate everything that's there, and when people are wrong, we prosecute those who are wrong. But we're not going to let that completely destroy everything, as we don't let one activity that might happen change all of what we do. We know that we are human. We will deal through the best we can, and we have one of the safest and most secure systems in the United States.
We unfortunately have run out of time. There's plenty of questions still in the chat, but we might just send it to you guys for you to respond.
Send it to us. If we need to, we'll respond. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Secretary. We appreciate you coming to us
Thank you. Thank you.
to
And we
talk
look
to
forward to the
community
next
media.
2 weeks.
All right. Good luck and vote, everybody.
Well,